political parties by influencing them to jump ship and join his party. Some has gone as far as accusing the president of tyranny. We also have money bags. Some are also accusing money bags of hijacking parties. So what exactly is going on here? A set of people, a group of people, has actually made a call asking the federal government to start funding political parties in Nigeria to prevent them from being hijacked by money bags, by wealthy individuals. I mean, they believe that if political parties are funded by the government, they will become stronger. But some opinion in other quarters would say if the federal government should start funding political parties, who benefits? Is it the public? Is it the people, the Nigerian citizens, or the politicians who will benefit from such? Joining us on the conversation this morning is Professor Ogunyemi. Professor Tunde Ogunyemi is a political scientist. He's also an economist and a public affairs analyst. Thank you for joining us on the program this morning.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure being here.
Oh, thank you once again. Very quickly, let us dive into the discussion. A group of people have actually called on the government to start funding political parties to prevent them from being hijacked. According to a report, speaking during an interview with journalists in Ilorin, the president of the Nigerian Political Science Association, NPSA, Professor Hassan Saliu, said that 70% of Nigeria's political problems would be resolved if parties were adequately funded to perform their roles optimally. Describing political parties as the engine room of democracy, Saliu warned that the dysfunction of political parties inevitably undermines democratic governance. That's a statement credited to him right there. And in the context of Nigeria, no one can secure a political position without belonging to a political party. This means we cannot afford to ignore developments within the parties, he said. That's a political scientist right there, arguing that the federal government should start funding political parties. And he also gave examples that some other countries have started doing it, that some countries are actually funding political parties, that when political parties are state funded, that it will make them more, it will make them function optimally, so to speak. Before I proceed, before we dive deep into the conversation, I just want to ask you, Prof, what's your opinion of this? Do you agree with this line of thought?
Well, it's a no. Absolute no. Absolute no. Why would the government spend money on managing political parties rather than managing the health facilities, rather than building alternative energy for the UCH, for ABUT, for JUT, for OAUTHC? Why? I mean, there's no worse way to describe profligacy than that. And has it happened in our history before? Of course it has, with calamitous results. When was that? 1989 to 1993, when we had the Social Democratic Party and the National Republican Convention. Government did not just fund them directly, it built their headquarters. It built all their offices in the then about 400 local governments that Nigeria was constituted by. So, I mean, did they achieve any result? I mean, the money bags were still in charge. See, there's nowhere in the world where you have party politicking that people who are significantly well placed in society. It may be in terms of influence, it may be in terms of culture, it may be in terms of religion, it may be in terms of money, it may be in terms of businesses. There's no way they will not play a significant role in directing the affairs of political parties. There's no way. Because Nigeria hardly have mass political parties that we have in the communist states. So I would rather suggest that instead of saying that government should fund political parties, can there be a law which we peg at not more than 1 million naira per person, any contribution that anyone who wants to contest as president shall pay? For example, if you want to be president of the Republic of Nigeria, the form you pay, the money you pay to your political parties to purchase the form should not be more than 1 million naira. And if you want to be a local government chairman, it should not be more than 10,000 naira. That's how I see it. If you reduce that and then find a way by which INEC could supervise political funding such that no political party spend more than a particular ceiling that is given to it, then it is well and good. But to think that by funding political parties, the creme de la creme society, the people that are well placed in society will not play significant roles in those parties. I think it is wishful thinking. It's high time we dismiss it because it is unblockable.
All right, Professor Tunji Ogunyemi. So you clearly disagree with that line of thought. You do not believe government should fund political parties in any way. But again, the argument he put forward is that the argument they put forward, and these are also political scientists, saying that when these parties are actually funded, that it will help them function optimally. That most of them are being hijacked simply because they lack funds. You talked about pegging the amounts required to be paid to obtain funds for presidents and local governments. Let me just draw your attention to this. In Lagos State, the form for local government elections, for you to be a candidate for local government elections, is 5 million naira. And you have to pay an additional 500,000 naira. That's 5.5 million naira just for local government. And of course, talking about for other positions, maybe governorship or presidency, you know how high it will be for a party. I mean, some paying as much as 100 million naira just to get a form. So do you think it will really work? Do you think it's possible for government to actually peg all these amounts required by political parties if they don't have direct control over these political parties?
It's a battle of law and it's a battle of sanction. When you have the law that says do not do this, and you find some political parties doing it, and you sanction them, Nigerians are very good followers. They will see that there's a correlation between misbehaving financially in terms of party expenditure and party funding, and then being sanctioned. It's as simple as that. It is when we neglect, we fail, we refuse to sanction political parties on grounds of excessive funding by some vested interests. That is when the political parties go away. That's when they go away. But if Nigerians can see that there is a sanction for misbehavior, we will see that they will fall in line. It's as simple as that. I mean, how will somebody, for example, want to contest for councillorship or for chairmanship in Lagos and will be asked to pay something close to about 6 million, 5.5 million naira? That is completely, is even priced above the capacity of a professor. The total income of a professor in a year is 6 million naira. Now, how will he get 5.5 million out of that for just contesting to be chairman of a local government? I mean, that's reprehensible in any way whatsoever. There's no way you can describe it that it will be reasonable. So at any rate, what do they use the money for? For campaigning? And that is why people, the ordinary voter, the electorates, ask for money. That's why they demand for money. We call it vote merchandising. Otherwise, why would a political party want to go into an election and the expenditure of that political party is more than the total budget of the state? I mean, is it possible for anybody to want to be governor of Lagos State now and his expenditure outlay will not be up to about 10 billion naira? That's just to start. And then the campaigning and other things, including advertisement bids in all manners of media houses, will be in the neighborhood of about 50 billion. There's no way you can be governor of Lagos State now, going by the current unmitigated or regulated expenditure of political parties, that you will not spend something close to about 400 billion naira. There's no way.
All right, Professor Tunji Ogunyemi. But there are countries where political parties are actually state-funded. And these are countries where democracy is working. For instance, Finland. In Finland, political parties get support from the state. They are state-funded. And that's actually the argument of some political scientists who are saying that some political parties should be state-funded. My question to you is, why can't that happen in Nigeria? Are you saying it is absolutely impossible for a state to fund political parties and for us to still practice democracy at the same time?
I think every political experience and political experiment shall be and must be interpreted in terms of the culture and history of the people that are practicing it. What is Finland? How many human beings are living in Finland? How many people are there? Nigeria is a mammoth 200 million plus. That's number one. More than 300 ethnic groups. Finland is not as divided as Nigeria in terms of ethnicity. They have one single language that they speak in that country. And what's the population of the country? I have not checked, but I don't think that Finland is even up to 10 million people. That's about the people, that's about the total number of people who live in Oyo State. What is the total size of the land area of Finland? Is it up to the southwestern part of Nigeria? Look, let's be realistic. I thought you would say that the political parties are being funded in the United States, or being funded in Britain, or being funded in the largest democracy on earth, in India. It will be a calamitous experience if they do so. See, the truth of the matter is that every political experience of a country must be attached and understood within the context of its history. In fact, I dare to say within the context of its culture too. So there's no way Nigeria with 923,000 square kilometers, that's about 4 times Great Britain in size, and 200 million human beings plus can begin, and government can now say, okay, let's begin to fund your political parties. First of all, are the number of political parties regulated in Nigeria just as in Finland? The number of political parties in Nigeria is X, where X is unknown. There can be about 60 political parties, 100 political parties, 200 political parties. Now, where will the government get the funding? In the midst of inflation and poverty, I mean real poverty, to begin to sprinkle money and begin to think that political party can grow like plants. See, let's be serious. Funding political parties in Nigeria will be a waste, a mammoth waste.
All right. Well said, Professor Tunji Ogunyemi. Well, like you mentioned, the population of Finland is small. As of 2023, the population of Finland was about 5.58 million. That's less than 6 million people. So actually, compared to Nigeria, we have about 232 million as around the same time. That's talking about the size of both countries. So clearly speaking, you're saying categorically that it is a total waste to fund political parties. But hypothetically speaking, Professor, if the government, for instance, should decide, let's say all things being equal, like they say in economics, if the government should decide to say, okay, let us fund political parties so that the people will not have the impression that they are being hijacked by the ruling party, in your opinion, who would benefit from it? Is it the people or the politicians? Do you see that ever working in a place like Nigeria?
Okay, I mean, we don't even need to begin to reinvent the wheel. Has it not happened in Nigeria before? Of course it has. When? 1989 to 1993. When we had just 2 political parties in Nigeria. 2 government recognized, government formed, government even wrote their constitutions. Government built their headquarters. Government built all their offices in all the local governments in Nigeria. Government funded them. What was the result of that experiment, which one president, Ibrahim Babangida, did for us? What was the result? As far as I'm concerned, if you talk about forging political consensus across the country such that you divide Nigeria ideologically into maybe progressives and not so progressive people, well, maybe a kind of a 2-party system may work. But to assume that because government is funding political parties, it will not be hijacked by the creme de la creme society, it just perish the idea, because it will not work. See, it is not only the rich people that dominate political parties. It is not. Religious interest. Do you know that Nigerians are more divided on religious grounds than on ethnic grounds? That's the truth. So you begin to see people who will now say, okay, this party is presenting a Muslim candidate. Let us present a Christian candidate. And then you are going to have a calamitous division of Nigeria into 2 opposing forces. And government will be spending public funds to fund this? No, just come on, let's be serious.
Oh, okay. All right, Prof. Again, I would like to ask you, are you of the opinion that Nigeria is actually tilting to a one-party state? A lot of people have raised concerns in different quarters saying Nigeria is moving towards a one-party state. Do you agree with that? And if so, what can we do to prevent this? Nigeria
has no capacity to move towards a one-party state. Nigeria is too multifaceted to be doing a one-party state. What is the evidence? What is the statistics of those people who are saying that? Is it because of cross-carpeting of some people?
Absolutely.
Who were previously in the other party anyway? I mean, take for instance, His Eminence Alhaji Abubakar, Alhaji Atiku Abubakar. Is there any political party that he has not been in this country? He was in PDP, he moved to AC, he moved to ACN, he was in the APC, he moved back to PDP. Look, the fact that some people are cross-carpeting from one political party into another is not an evidence conclusive that Nigeria will be a one-party. It will never work. It will never work. We are too multifaceted in terms of our ethnic divisions, in terms of our interests, than to be having a single party. At any rate, the National Assembly has representatives from more than 6 political parties at present. Representatives of political parties of PDP, APC, LP, YPP, SDP, Labour Party, etc., etc. How about that? And there are more than 60 already existing political parties in Nigeria. So what is the evidence for anybody to begin to think that we are moving towards a one-party state? I mean, it's not doable in this country, and it is not true. Because there will always be an implosion, even within the ruling party, where its own forces will set forces and interests against it. There's no single political party in Nigeria that is monolithic. There's no single ideological party in Nigeria that the only thing uniting them is the ideology. No, it is just some an agglomeration of people for convenience sake that are moving to the how progressive is CPC, which is a major political formation within APC. How progressive is it that it will be in the same political party as AC, as ACN, as a breakaway of APGA? How progressive is CPC? CPC is die in the wool conservative. Die in the wool conservative. And it is finding political accommodation with progressives. That means it is just their interest. Once you do something against that interest that they consider injurious to theirs, you will see that it will fall apart. And surely I tell you, I can predict the future of the political parties in Nigeria that none of them will have any capacity to become a dominant political party. For
all right, thank you so much, Prof. Like you said, the one-party system will not work. There are some people that will still stick to their parties. Just recently, we had a massive defection of the entire party structure in Delta State, defecting to the APC. But someone resigned. Senior special assistant to Governor Sheriff Oboriwori said he's resigning because he is not moving to the APC. He's a member of the PDP, talking about Victor Uje. So we still have some politicians who strongly believe, who have some ideas, who believe that, oh, why should they cross carpet? So like you rightly said, a one-party system will not work in Nigeria. Just a final shot from you in 1 minute before we leave. What do you think, Prof, we can do in Nigeria to strengthen our political parties? Because as it is right now, some parties are actually dying.
Yes, if some political parties are dying, I wish them well in their death. They should really die. I mean, why must we have multiplicity of political parties that are doing nothing other than to be doing rabble-rousing? So if in Nigeria we have 3 or 4 political parties that are major and they can really perform the function of opposition, by all means, let's have them. Let's have them. I mean, what are we doing with a harvest of political parties such that they are in their tens, if not hundreds? So let them die.
Absolutely.
Now, and let the strong one remain.
All right. All right. Thank you so much, Professor Tunji Ogunyemi. We really have to go right now. We've been speaking with Professor Tunji Ogunyemi, an economist, a political scientist, and of course, a public affairs analyst. Thank you so much for joining us on the program this morning.
Thank you so much for having me.
And thank you to you, our esteemed viewers. Thank you for staying with us on Morning Spring on Western Spring Television. Don't forget, you can still check out this conversation on our YouTube channel on Western Spring Television and also on other social media handles. Let's do this again tomorrow as we bring you a fresh edition of Morning Spring on Western Spring Television. Special thanks to the production team. And this is where we draw the curtains on the show today. Thank you so much for joining us. Emeka Daniel is my name. Let's do this again tomorrow. Do have a wonderful day. Good morning.